Hello, everyone. Mr. Whiteman here to talk about citations. And I want to start with a question. What are the two purposes of citations? Now, this is a tricky question for most people. There's an obvious purpose that almost everybody knows, but there's a second, equally important purpose that we don't think about as much. I'll give you a few more seconds to think about it. What are the two purposes of citations? Okay, so the purpose everyone knows is that citations help you avoid plagiarism. Plagiarism is when you take someone else's information and present it as your own. The farther you advance academically, the more serious plagiarism becomes. People have failed classes and been kicked out of college because they copied ideas from sources without giving proper credit. And we drill that knowledge into you at a young age. So most people know they need to use citations to avoid getting into trouble. But there's a second purpose as well. Citations don't just protect you. They're an important tool for your reader. They help your reader retrace the steps of your research. See, when you do research, you're part of a learning community. Readers will study your findings, and they may have questions. If a reader wants to know more, or if they think you're lying, your citations will give them all the information they need to go back to your source and study it for themselves. It's a little like the fairy tale Hansel and Gretel. You know that one where the evil stepmother tries to lose her children in the woods, but they leave a trail of breadcrumbs along the path. That way, when they were lost, they were able to follow the breadcrumbs home. Citations are a trail of breadcrumbs for your reader. They lead them back home to your sources. Try to keep that in mind as we go along, because citations have very specific rules, and when your teacher or librarian keeps telling you you're doing it wrong, it's easy to get frustrated and to ask, what's the big deal? Well, the reason citation systems like MLA and APA are so specific is because one day you may be sharing research with someone on the other side of the world. And you might have totally different cultures and languages, but if you both understand the standardized citation systems, you can follow the breadcrumbs. Most of the citation rules are the way they are because they're designed to help the reader. If you take nothing else from this video, I hope I can at least demonstrate that. So there are two main types of citation you'll use in your research: a works cited page and in-text citations. The works cited page is just a list of your sources. It goes at the end of your paper, and it has all the information your reader could possibly need about the sources: author, title, publisher, publication date, link. If your reader had to go back and search for your source, the works cited entry should give them all the details they need to find it. In-text citations are the breadcrumbs. They point your reader down to the works cited page. In-text citations are in parentheses after the quote or paraphrase. And you don't need a lot of information in those parentheses. In fact, more is worse because it interrupts the flow. Include just enough information for your reader to match the quote to its source on the works cited page. I'm going to have you try this yourself. Here's a quote with an in-text citation. In a minute, I'm going to reveal the works cited page. See how long it takes you to match the quote to its source on the list. Do you have your stopwatch ready? Quick, which source did the quote come from? Did you find it? It's the bottom one. Hopefully that was easy. Now try this one. Same challenge. Time yourself. Ready, go. Did it take longer this time? It did for me. And that's because this person didn't follow the rules for in-text citations. You don't want to give a random part of the works cited entry. You always want to give the first part. Do you see how the first line of each source sticks out farther than anything else? That's by design. It helps the reader move from one source to the next more efficiently. And to help them with their matching, you always want to cite the first part that sticks out. Don't make them hunt for something in the middle of the page. This is how the citation should appear. You don't have a choice on this. Cite the first part of the source. Your reader will be grateful. So let's make a works cited page. When I was in school, this took a whole period. We had to write the citations ourselves, alphabetize them, make sure the first part stuck out, make sure all the information was in the right order, and double check to make sure every comma, period, italic, and quotation mark was where it was supposed to be. Fortunately for you, we're going to use NoodleTools. And this is where NoodleTools really shines. It's going to do a job that used to take 45 minutes in about 45 seconds. To make a works cited page, go to your Sources tab. Look it over quick, just to make sure there aren't any comments about issues you need to correct. If it's good, scroll back to the top and click Print Export. Then, click Export to Google Docs. If it's your first time, NoodleTools may ask for some permissions, and then it will go ahead and make the doc. Waiting for it to generate is honestly the longest part of this process. Once you have the Works Cited page, you can select it all with Control A, and then copy it, Control C, and then head over to your essay. Like I said, the Works Cited page goes at the end of the essay. To set that up, go to the end of your essay and press Control Enter. Again, that's Control Enter. This sets up your Works Cited on its own page, and you can paste it in. Now I know what you want to do. You want to press Enter a bunch of times until you get to a new page. Don't do that. Use Control Enter. If you press Enter a bunch of times, the Works Cited will move whenever you add or subtract the paragraphs above. When I do it this way, I can add whatever I want. Works Cited stays right where it was. Much, much neater, more professional. Once your Works Cited is good, check your in-text citations. Every piece of information that comes from a source needs an in-text citation. That includes quotes and paraphrases. A few fine points on in-text citations. First, the citation goes after the closing quotation marks, but before the period. It's part of the sentence, but not part of the quote. People mess that up all the time, so watch out for that. Second, I know I've said this before, but I can't emphasize it enough. Always cite the first part of the Works Cited entry. If it starts with an author, cite the author's last name. And remember, with in-text citations, less is more. So don't include the first name, just the last name. If the Works Cited entry begins with a title, cite the title and use quotation marks to show that it's a title. The only time you'll ever cite something from the middle is when you have multiple authors. You do want to give both authors credit. Finally, you don't have to do an in-text citation in parentheses if you provide the same information in the introduction to the quote. So in this first example, the citation needs to say Greenberg. But I mention the name when I introduce the quote, so I can drop the in-text citation. In the second example, I don't say the name, and so I need to include the in-text citation to provide the name. In the third example, it gets a little tricky. I provide the title of the article, but that's not the part that the citation needs to give the reader. And so I still have to include the citation at the end. So that's Citations in 10 minutes. I know it's a lot to digest, so to help you out, I left a handout in Google Classroom. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out, because I know specific citation situations can get complicated. Hopefully, though, this video has helped you understand why we do things the way we do. At the end of the day, it's all about giving credit where credit is due and helping readers find answers to their questions in your sources. Happy writing. See you soon.